and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where we are going to be following on really from the defeat against Real Madrid. Today we're going to be discussing everything really surrounding Lamine Yamal, that whole situation. There's been a lot of reaction about him, about on the field, about off the field. We're going to be talking about all of that, but not only there's also lots to discuss on the injuries that we're encountering right now. Are we nearing the end of some of these? Are we close to getting a few players back for the coming games? And there's several individuals that we have to discuss today. It is all coming up for you, so get ready and let's do this. Because if we do start indeed with a bit of fallout from the Clasico, because I've got to be honest, guys, over the past, day or two, it's been quite difficult, it's been quite tough there off the back of that. Not only the result, but I think it was mainly about the performance. It was about the way that Barca really couldn't do much to stop Real Madrid, and in the end, like we said, 2-1 was very much a good scoreline on our part. It could have been much, much worse, and in the end, to be fair, that looks a lot better than it actually was, and I think there wasn't a lot that we could really cling on to. A lot of these situations when we have lost big games in the past, when we've just missed out, maybe there was things that we could say, okay, but at least we're building, at least we're clearly going somewhere. But this was one where you're scratching your head a bit, you're trying to find something positive. Now, one of those things that we'd have to say is, well, could this team look at least a bit different if we had a number of our key players back in the team? And right now we do have a few injury updates, starting with Robert Lewandowski. Now, I think it's interesting with him because obviously this could be his final season at Barca. I don't think we should be heavily reliant on Lewandowski right now. We need to look at other players. Other players need to contribute. Ferran Torres has scored goals this season, but I did feel against Real Madrid we missed that vocal point in attack. We missed that sort of big game player at times. And Lewandowski, as he gets older, as the games do pile up, he's having a few injuries here and there now, but of course he still can pop up with a big goal. That was something that we didn't have against Madrid. We couldn't change our attack. We couldn't change the way we wanted to play in the final third. Go long at times, put some balls into the box, just put Real Madrid under a bit of pressure in those areas. So yeah, on Lewandowski, he actually returned to do some of the training session on Monday there. He is nearing now his full recovery from that thigh injury, which was quite a significant one. Lewandowski has had a really stop-start season so far. He got injured, of course, at the end of pre-season, then picked up this latest problem. So Lewandowski, he's nearing the end now of that recovery, and he should be back. Maybe it will even happen this weekend against Elche, and certainly then looking to next week. So that is something there that would be a positive. More options is exactly what we need right now, but I think then we have to look at the goalkeeping area. Now, can I just say that Szczesny, I thought he was very, very good against Real Madrid, and I think that's interesting in itself there, that our goalkeeper, yet again, was one of our best players in this game. He made a number of key saves. Of course, he made a phenomenal penalty stop there against Kylian Mbappe. In the end, that didn't count for anything because we didn't get that equalising goal. But Szczesny, he could walk away one of the few Barca players who could say, look, I did my best. I left it all out there. I was actually one of those who put in a good performance. So, give some credit there to him. But I would just say, on the goalkeeping area, we have still not looked like the same confident team that we did when Joan Garcia was in goal for us there. I think it will be a massive boost to that backline when he's back there. I think he's somebody who really commands his area. He's pulled off some absolutely phenomenal saves there, one-on-ones. He claims crosses. He's been excellent during his short time at Barca so far. And of course, he had that knee problem, which has really derailed us since he did get injured. And right now, he is recovering well. And we're even hearing again that he could be available on Sunday there against Elche. That is going to be a little bit of a race against time. He may not be quite back in time for that one, but if not then, it will be next week then for the Champions League. We got another game there coming up in the league phase, that one there against Club Brugge. So Joan Garcia, another one who's nearing the end of his recovery. When he's back, it will help us, it will give us more and more options, and it will add quality to a team that right now, they are crying out for confidence players, and they're crying out for quality. But if we are speaking indeed right now about injury problems that, yeah, they have plagued us all season long, and to be honest, injuries now these days in modern football, they are very much part of the game. It's not as though, okay, we're going to get these players back and then for the rest of the season, everything's going to be fine. There will be, unfortunately, more injuries. The games are still going to be coming. There's still going to be international breaks to come. So there's still going to be many, many obstacles really to overcome. And even right now, somebody who is really being plagued by issues Andreas Christensen. He missed the Champions League game in midweek against Olympiacos. That was due to some stomach issues at the time. And then at the weekend, you thought, okay, but he'll be fine for the Clasico. He misses the squad. He's not even involved in that game because of discomfort there in his foot. And I've got to say here with Christensen, in my opinion, when he is fit, when he's available, he is one of our best defenders. I don't think Barca right now are blessed with options at centre-back who are genuinely good defenders, good readers of the game in this system as well. It's not easy to be part of that back line. Christensen, in my opinion, when he's available, he is a very, very good fit. But I think what you'd have to say right now, and what we all have to admit here, he is not fit anywhere near enough. Not even close right now. There are so many games here that he misses due to injuries and small ones as well there. Things like the stomach issues. We've seen that several times in the past, and he just misses too many games to really depend on him. And I think it's interesting, of course, because at the end of the season, his contract is up as a Barcelona player. So at the end of the season there, he is set to be ready to walk away from the club for free. And the reason for that is because right now, Barca are not planning on renewing Christensen. And we haven't really seen him feature too heavily in these Hansi Flick teams. It's not really felt as though he's a long-term option at the club right now. And it's a shame because, like I say, when he is there, when you play him, when you see his quality, he could be a very, very good player. And he's shown that here in Barcelona colours. But it's been a frustrating time, and right now as well, when we're crying out for players who can give us something, who can really help this team, these injury problems, they are not coming at a great time. But indeed, guys, of course, one of the big names and sort of the big vocal point of this defeat against Real Madrid, there's been a lot of criticism, not only from Barcelona fans, but of course also in the media, lots of speculation, lots of different opinions on Lamine Yamal right now. And I think it's very, very important here that we do just take a step back and we look at what's being said. We try and understand what's going on the field. It's not only about what's happening on the pitch, though, of course. You've got to look outside of that as well. And what is going on with Yamal right now? Is the criticism we are seeing justified in any way? And what do we think of it all? Because the first thing that I have to talk about here is the fact that we hear in the media, and we also see it there out on the field, is Yamal fit? Is he 100% fit and ready to play right now? In my opinion, looking at the performances that he's putting in, looking at the way that he looked in El Clasico, and there were certain moments there where, to me, he looked unable to track back. Either he was unable or he just didn't track back there. He didn't go with his man. He also seemed to be feeling around at several different points in the game, suffering with some sort of discomfort. He had a bit of pain on his face, and you just look at him and you think that doesn't look like a player who is 100% ready to play. And again, this is not about him. I'm sure that he wants to play. He wants to play every minute. He wants to play every game. That's a young player. He wants to be out there. It's nothing to do with him. This is about Barca now in this instance. If he is not right, he should not be playing. We should not be looking here to jeopardise his career, his career at Barca. The way that he is right now, if he's not 100%, you should not be playing him out there. And certainly for the amount of time that we're seeing, because we've spoken a lot about what the Spanish national team have done with Yamal. They've mistreated him. They've really, really done a poor job there in terms of looking after an exciting young talent. They've really taken risks where they shouldn't have done, and we've all admitted that. But if Yamal is playing right now, and he's not right, if he's not ready to be playing, then again, you've got to look at Barca. We've got to hold our hands up and say here that Barca may also hold some responsibility if he shouldn't be out there, and he shouldn't be out there playing minute after minute after minute. If he's not right, he shouldn't be playing. So let's address that straight away here. But of course, right now, I think it does run deeper than that though, because when he is out there, he still doesn't quite look like himself. That may be indeed down to the physical aspect, but I think there's also a lot right now to sort of take account of mentally in terms of Yamal. We've heard a lot of things about his behaviour away from the field, what his life is like, what he's doing away from the field. And of course, it's well documented in the media. We hear every minute of the day what Yamal is up to, where's he gone, who's he with, what's he doing, all of this kind of stuff. And ultimately, that's what you have to deal with a player here who's a key player now at Barca. You've got to accept, ultimately, you are going to be under the microscope. When you are as talented as he is, he's a massive, massive name. you are ultimately here going to be watched by everyone there in the media. Every move that you make is going to be under the microscope. And of course, there's lots of concern about what Yamal might be doing. You know, is he focusing on football? Is he still focused here on getting the absolute best out of his ability? Is he doing all the right things off the field in terms of fitness, of nutrition, looking after his body, all of these kinds of questions? But I think my biggest concern, again, I wouldn't always look, specifically just at him. It's also who's around him. We have to remember here, this is an 18-year-old player. He's ultimately still a kid in some ways. And you see it at times. Who's around him? Who is guiding this young man? That is my concern. It's the people around him who, in my opinion, they should be doing more. They should certainly be here looking at the long term, looking at the bigger picture. Of course, Yamal is doing incredible things right now. There's all the sponsorship deals, there's all the limelight, he's in the running for Ballon d'Or awards, so many great things are happening. But that is only a small slice, really, of what he could go on to do. If he has a career here with the talent that he has, he could do unbelievable things for year upon year upon year. A decade from now, we could still be talking about Yamal, but that's only if you do the right things. That is only if you well and truly commit yourself to be the best possible player and person that you can be, best possible athlete. You look at players there like Lionel Messi, like Cristiano Ronaldo, two players, of course, who battled each other year upon year, making each other and taking each other to greater and greater heights. They dedicated their entire life to what they were doing, to getting the best out of their ability. That's what it takes at the top level. You can be incredible. You can be the best player in the world for one season. That's fine. It can happen. You can have this incredible run of form. But to sustain that, you've got to be dedicated. You've got to work hard. And you ultimately need good people around you. And I think right now, with Lamine Yamal, you would ultimately say, if people are criticising him, given what he's done for the club, given what he's already achieved in a very, very young career, is he a victim of his own success? I think you'd have to say yes. In many ways here, at the end of the day, he's 18. He's still doing extraordinary things for his age. Maybe there's people here being far, far too harsh on him too early. But at the same time, it's the quality that he showed. It's because of everything that he's done that he's also now one of the highest paid players at Barca. This is a young player, yes, but he also is commanding big money. He got a very, very big contract off the back of all those incredible things. So ultimately here, he is going to be judged based upon that standing in the squad. And I think obviously what really didn't help at the weekend was all of the stuff on social media, was all of the stuff right before a massive game in terms of heading to the Bernabeu, playing Real Madrid in El Clasico. Did you need to talk before that big game? But ultimately, this is what Yamal has done right throughout his career so far. And we often say, by the way, okay, we want players to be authentic. We don't just want them to churn out the same thing, before games, after games. We want them to have a little bit of personality. That is certainly something that Yamal has. He has a lot of confidence in himself, which also contributes to having that huge talent and ability that he has. But yeah, I would actually look back here to something that he said last season, because he was doing this all throughout last season too. He was posting things before big matches. He was certainly speaking out there when he felt as though, okay, somebody's challenging me. I can certainly hit back at them. And what he said was, they can't talk. Nobody can say anything about me. The journalists can't criticise me. Nobody can say anything. You know why? Because I'm winning. Nobody can talk if I am winning there. Speaking about Barca's form, speaking about the fact that we won 4 out of 4 Clásicos against Real Madrid, and he was right. The problem now, though, and what we're seeing at the weekend here, when you post something like that then, and it goes wrong, when you're not winning anymore, and unfortunately, Barca, they're not the team we were last season. We're not playing in the same way. We're not commanding the same respect, ultimately, right now, in the footballing world. When that goes wrong, then you've got to deal with the flip side of that. If you are going to speak up, if you are really going to invite that pressure, invite that criticism, you've got to back it up, especially when the stakes are this high. Clásicos, they are massive. They are absolutely huge games in seasons. They are what it all really comes down to. And that is why there has been criticism right now. It's really been a combination of all of these things. You know, people are concerned about Yamal, the focus. They are concerned there about his physical state right now. Are we pushing him too hard? Is he ready to play? Is he doing the right things? Has he got the right people around him? And I just think they're motivating Real Madrid, really inspiring them. To be honest, I wish somebody had inspired Barca. I wish somebody from Real Madrid would have posted something before the game. If they'd have said something, maybe we would have seen more fight from the Barca players at the weekend. But yeah, we fell short in the end. We lost a very big and important game, and the big question now is not only to do with Yamal, it's not only about one player. How does the team respond? How do we pick ourselves up? And how do we make sure that we start going back to what we were doing last season? So indeed, guys, please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below right here. You know, what do you make of all of the talk right now surrounding Yamal? Do you feel as though criticism is justified, or do you feel as though things are being quite overblown right now? Is it not about him? Is it about other areas of the team? Is it about the collective at Barca? Please do let me know all of your takeaways from El Clasico, and I will see you soon as we start to build up to Barca versus Elche at the weekend. Hopefully, we can hit back and get important points back on the board in La Liga. I will see all of you very, very soon indeed. Thank you indeed for the support. But until next time, as always, Vasca El Barça.